It's all back there.
Welcome to the Prince Edward County Conference Line. Please stand by. You'll be joined in shortly.
Just good shot there.
Wow. Get my sugar buzz going here. Start this session, as always, still need- still need-
Going back.
Going back.
I really don't.
Oh, yeah, I haven't eaten my supper yet, so I guess I'll check through there.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the February meeting of the Planning Commission. The Prince Edward County Planning Commission encourages citizens' participation in public meetings through in-person participation, written comments, and/or remote participation by calling 1-844-890-7777. Access code is 390313. Additionally, citizens may view the commission meeting live in its entirety at the county's YouTube channel, the link to which is provided on the county website. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Let's take a roll first if we can. Mr. Page?
Present.
Mr. Fuller?
Present.
Mr. Peary?
Present.
Mr. Weiss?
Here.
Mr. Gilliam?
Here.
Mr. Hart?
Here.
Mr. Hogan?
Here.
Mr. Pringaman? Here, we have all in attendance. If I could ask everybody, well, let me give the invocation first. I guess we've all had some challenges over the last week with the power, and I think a lot of credit goes to both Dominion and Southside for bringing in the outside crews. I know there are still a couple areas of the county that do not have power, but between the crews there, the different fire departments, emergency services who have to clean up a lot of trees, and I've heard a lot from different communities that the neighbors all pitched in helping also. So we just hope that the one tomorrow and Thursday doesn't give us the same challenges we've had over the last week. With that, I'd like to everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have any conflict of interest tonight? Okay, great. So I am looking, did everybody have a chance to review the minutes from last meeting? And were there any changes? If not, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. We'll go around the room then again. Mr. Hogan?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mr. Weiss?
I will abstain because I was out of town on business at the last meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Peary?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Page?
Yes.
Mr. Pringaman, yes. The minutes have been approved. We do have two public hearings tonight. Mr. Love, can you give us an overview of the first one?
Yes, sir. Actually, both of these are related, so the second one's kind of hinges on the first request. The county received a request from Anthony and Tracy Ellington to amend Prince Edward County zoning map and to rezone approximately 6.82 acres from A1 agricultural conservation to C1 general commercial. The purpose of this is for the permitting of a mini warehouse or mini storage, we call them mini warehouses in the code, by a special use permit. This property is identified as tax parcel 040-A-23. It's located on the south side of Route 360. Its intersection with State Route 736. I did send the rezoning and special use request to VDOT. They've done an entrance review, which is in your packet for this. I think it's really in the special use permit section. And also DCR, which I have a letter, which I'll discuss when we get to the special use part of this. But this was properly advertised in the Farmville Herald. Adjoining property owners were sent letters. I've had no correspondence for or against this application by anyone at this time. This parcel is directly across the road from a parcel of land owned by Tim Thorpe LLC, which is also C1 commercial. So this is not spot zoning. So I want to make sure the commission knows that. And staff saw no issue with this. This is, like I said, it's across from an existing site, which is going to be a commercial operation.
Any questions for Mr. Love from the board?
I have two, Mr. Chairman. Robbie, just to clarify, I understand the second request. I understand the SUP. But the matter before us, is it to rezone the property to C1 unconditionally? So any, in theory, any uses by right or CUP would apply, or is the request to rezone it only for this one purpose?
The applicant's only asking for that. You don't have to restrict it to that and write it up that way. Typically, when you rezone something, other by right uses could apply, could be developed. In this case, a mini warehouse is only by a special use permit in commercial. But yes, this would lend itself to any other commercial use through the site plan review, through VDOT. VDOT looked at it specifically for a mini warehouse for the number of units. So that's what it's been approved by as far as transportation at this point.
So looking at it the other way, if for some reason the mini warehouse project doesn't pan out, and I realized once upon a time a campground was going to happen, that
Correct.
didn't pan out either. In theory, at least, then all other by right uses
By right, yes,
could happen at the site,
yes. With the
subject to
administrative
review.
administrative,
Right.
site plan review,
Right.
stormwater, and ENS permitting and building permitting, yeah.
So from the staff's point of view, are you okay rezoning it just unconditionally, not limited to this purpose? Just
Yes, I mean,
wide
full
open?
disclosure, the site across the road is going to be
Yes.
a hardscape, landscape business. They're working, we've done a stormwater permit modification on that, and I've done a zoning permit on that. So it's going to be a fully commercial site across the road. That was permitted originally as a truck yard, so it would have been a second site with up to 50 trucks per day. So I don't see an issue with it based on that.
Gotcha. My second question, I can't quite tell if this, that in the pack was accurate, but it looks like there's a house on the site, which was actually missing property
I
line.
think, you don't have a house on your property. I think that's correct. Okay. I
All right.
think that line.
It's missing a line.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that line work is, the property lines
That answers that
on the
question.
tax maps are drawn without the aerials. So I believe that structure actually, the line work is a little off from what's on the ground. We get the aerials from the state of Virginia, and we try to put it together. It's like transparencies, and it doesn't always come up well.
The overlay doesn't work. when
Right,
you do that.
right. The subsequent site plan makes that more clear. There's a
Yes.
discrepancy between that aerial and the.
Yes, the site plan takes precedence over that.
Okay, Thank you.
I'm just trying to give you a snapshot of where other parcels and how many other parcels are around it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Love?
Just one question, where there's a Brightspeed or telephone facility right there in the corner.
Yeah.
Does that, how is that? Is that part of the property or is that separate? That's a separate piece? Where the telephone communication place is?
They were given an easement, allocation years ago.
That's what I was wondering.
It will not, this one, it will not be affected or impact.
Right.
No grading on that part, on that easement.
If there are no other questions, I'd like to ask the applicant, do you want to come up and speak at all regarding this? You don't have to. Okay. With that, I'll open the public hearing. Is anybody on the call? Everett or Patricia, would you like to speak? Again, if you come up to the podium, just state your name and you put him in charge.
Okay, I guess I'll push this button here.
You don't
It
have
should
to.
be good, it should be on.
Good. Okay, good evening. Thank you for letting me come up and address the board. Regarding the rezoning of the special use permit request for that 186 storage unit facility, my wife and I are opposed to the proposal. We believe that this addition to Rice would further industrialize the community and degrade the quality of life. The current homeowners enjoy this time. At present, we have a Tharp Trucking Company and a service station convenience store on either side of the Rice Village. We hear truck beds slamming, heavy trucks coming through the village. We have a big trash problem, actually, at the convenience store service station. We do not believe that this proposal for 186 storage units centered on the village, with a portion of residents having this in their backyard, will serve the best interests of the community. Does this say, welcome to Rice Village, an industrial village losing its old charm to 186 storage units, fencing the barbed wire, all-night pollution, and 24 access to its customers? Also, the High Bridge Trail borders the proposed storage unit facility. Even with a 25-foot buffer, we're sure it probably would not be appealing to visitors coming through to Rice. Some big issues, it's hard to say at this point, but possibly noise, lighting, and traffic in and out 24 hours a day. And there's at least 5 storage buildings within 5, 6, 7 miles of the Rice area. I'm not sure how this is going to work. It's a necessity for Rice. Property values. My property butts right up to the back of this property. And, I'm sure it's not going to do anything to my property value when I go to resell down the road. As I get older, I'm not going to be able to keep that little mini farm. And I think that's going to be a problem for the people that have property butted up against this barbed wire fence and storage facility. On a personal note, we're new to the village 2.5 years now. We moved to Rice because it was charming, safe, family-oriented. We have invested much time, money in our home. Our plans are to renovate our stables to back up to this proposal and start a mini farm. We'll be subject to the view of the metal buildings, wire fences, barbed wire, 24-hour lighting, customers within 24-hour access. So I would ask Mr. and Ms. Ellington, would they want this in their backyard? And I just don't think that it's going to be a good proposal for the village. So we're really worried about it becoming an industrial park. Pretty much, we have the area across the street, the trucking company owns. We have the trucking company up the street where we hear the noise all the time from that. We have the trash from down there, the blue and gray, which never seems to be cleaned up properly. And people have actually gone out and put their own signs in the community trying to make it better, say, Rice is nice, stop the littering and stuff like this. And so we're trying our best to build our properties and make the community more appealing. And I would just rather not have that. I don't think we need that. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. May I ask the applicant a question?
Yes.
Or, I mean, the citizen. I have a question just to.
You can stay, you can, okay, you can come either way, okay.
To clarify your opposition, are you opposed to any rezoning of the site for any use other than its current zoning, or are you opposed to the?
I think
really
I'm
the
opposed
next
to
request,
commercial
which is
zoning
basically-
because you never know what's going to come in there. I mean, it's going to, the commercialization of Rice, that's what seems like it's happening, because there's not a lot there, in Rice. I mean, other than some agriculture. And the commercialization is going to take away from, I think, the village in itself. And I'm afraid it's going to become an industrial park as time goes by. Because you get a whole lot of industrial pieces in an area, people aren't going to want to move there. Right now we have a lot of people from the colleges that come out there, professors, they move out there, they buy houses out there, they renovate houses. There's a lot of that going on. I just don't know that that's going to be a good thing for the community.
So your position is to keep it zoned? as
Agriculture, wherever it is, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any comments? Is there anybody on the call? Okay. With that, we'll close the public hearing and give the board a chance to discuss here.
Mr. Chairman, one other point of clarification, I didn't put it in my staff memo. This parcel and the parcel across the road, the Thorpe property, is currently in the Economic Development Enterprise Zone. And it's also shown in the current 2014 comprehensive plan as the Rice development area. So it has been identified by the county for about a decade of being an area where some commercialization could occur. And I understand the opposing folks and their concerns. I'm not sure you were aware of that. But I just wanted you
We're
to.
new to the area.
Yes, sir. And I just want, whatever happens here, as staff, I just wanted you to have full transparency of that existing map in the comprehensive plan and the fact that the IDA has this for also what's called enterprise zone where businesses can get incentives such as a no-cost building permit and other employment benefits that a business could, it's meant to attract a business. The Wawa and the car wash and Harbor Freight are also in an enterprise zone. But I just wanted you to know that, just so you know what this area has been forecasted for the last decade. And that predates me.
Are there any plans right now for anything to go in there?
Yes, ma'am. Right across the road is going to be a 100 by 100 building. It's a landscape building, pool installation company, and they're going to have bins with where you're going to have earthen materials like rock, stone, dirt, sand. Those bins are going to be around that. Right across, it's the property right across the road, the Thorpe property. That property was previously approved for a up to 50 trucks per day, 50 trucks on site. So it was a second Thorpe trucking site that never got built. So what's happening, the new site, he only has 15 employees, so it's going to be much less trucking. And this site was a commercial campground with special use permit, but it was never built. And so that's the applicant's reimagining the use of that property now. Just so you know what's historically has happened on this parcel and right adjacent to it.
I got a question. Andy, you say that you will have fencing around it with security gate and stuff like that. What do you plan to put as far as surface coating? Is that going to be asphalt, gravel, what?
Millings to start with.
Millings, okay.
So what we have in front of the board is not for what's going to go there as much as to get it rezoned.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's our first challenge, or our first question here.
I apologize.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Correct.
I'm not challenging there. I just want to make sure we understand it. Anytime we do this back to back, it is confusing. Our challenge right now, or in front of us is, we have a request to rezone this from agriculture this way, and that's what we have to address. Then, if we proceed that way, then the second public hearing would discuss what's going to go on that property.
I'm curious, and forgive me for asking, but if it was zoned agriculture, but it was approved for a campground, is campground considered agriculture?
No, it was a special use permit.
Okay.
And we'll get to that in the next, the reason it has to go to C1 commercial is mini storage facilities are only allowed in a commercial or more intensive zoning district if issued a special use permit. So I couldn't give them we couldn't advertise a special use permit only unless we entirely changed the county code and opened up the entire A1 district to this commercial use.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
The campgrounds are perceived differently than we would as a mini storage area.
Yeah. And campgrounds are seen as recreational, but they're commercial in nature. So we put a special use permit on them, and that's what Mr. Ellington currently has. We do the same thing for a small, single-site store like a Dollar General, a special use permit.
Robbie, I'd like to come back to something you said earlier. Staff feels that this rezoning request, again, SUP is next, but the rezoning request is consistent with the comprehensive plan,
Yes, sir.
and also that this parcel is within the enterprise zone?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. I just, again, just will flag for everyone's consideration that C1 allows 60 or so uses by right. It's a long list.
Correct.
And about 35 or so uses by special use permit. So it's roughly 100 different uses.
Right.
The next item on the agenda is one of those uses, so I just want to make sure everybody is aware by rezoning it without conditions opens it up to potentially 100 or so, not quite, different uses. Yeah.
Other questions at all? So yes, again, we're looking at rezoning now, nothing to do with what's going to be a special use permit request for that property. We're looking at it with what the enterprise zone, the comprehensive plan, that was done for growth, is really what it was,
Yeah, it's Vice Village Center is
Yeah.
considered
development
developmental area.
development area. And that's our questions in front of us now. So, do we have a motion?
I don't know how you want to state it, but
Go ahead.
so move that we approve the condition by special use condition.
Okay, by special use condition, we approve the rezoning.
Yes, correct.
Okay,
I'm a little confused. We don't apply the special use conditions on the rezoning.
no,
But it will be
That's a,
by use.
not by right, is what you're saying.
Right, it's not by right.
Yeah. You're asking this to be special use, you're asking this to be rezoned. Yeah, rezoning changes the whole way we have to look at this, correct, Mr. Love? Yeah. The rezoning means it's moving to what you would consider commercial.
it would become C1.
Yeah, it becomes C1.
Yeah,
It takes it out of the A1 realm totally.
Right.
So that's what we're looking at now. Now, once it becomes C1, then, as Dale said, then there's different options as to what could be put in there. It's moving from agriculture to potential development is what it's moving to. That's,
Looking in here
yeah.
where you had that. Okay, I understand. I was looking for it.
That,
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we recommend to the, as stated in the packet here, recommend approval of the request to amend to commercial.
Okay, to commercial, okay.
But I want my motion also to state that on the basis that it's consistent with the comprehensive plan
Right.
and the enterprise zone.
Okay,
Correct.
which would make sense. Okay, we do have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. We'll go around the room then. Mr. Hogan? You approve?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mr. Weiss?
Yes.
Mr. Peary?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Page?
Yes.
And Mr. Pringman, yes. So moving to commercial is what we approved there. And we'll recommend to the board. So what happens is this goes to the County Board of Supervisors at their next meeting. Our job, again, is, so you understand, our job is to vet these type of things that are presented to us, not just special use permit, but in this case, a rezoning. So that's what will happen.
actually, Chairman, on this one, it's going to go to April because
Oh,
we
that's-
had, our February meeting at the board, and I'll go over that, was canceled.
Yes.
So all of those 7 hearings set for that night, they all slid over to
March.
To March.
So this will go to the
This will
April
go
meeting.
to April, the April meeting. And we'll re-advertise all of that for that meeting. You still go through the same process. Stick around, please. You've got a special use if you wish.
Okay.
Go into that.
Yes. Let's go on to the next special use.
Okay. Our final public hearing tonight is a special use permit request by Anthony O. and Tracy M. Ellington to construct and operate a mini warehouse on tax map parcel 040-A-23, located on south side of Route 460 at its intersection with State Route 736. This public hearing was properly advertised in the Farmville Herald. List of adjoining property owners was sent a letter, which you have in your packet. For this one, staff did supply a set of draft template conditions. The purpose of this, of course, is mini storage. You do have, I want to make note, there was 2 engineering drawings from Maxine Associates on the mini warehouses. It's the same footprint, but based on costing, and I think the applicant can enlighten you a little bit more, one of those concepts had 4 buildings being built. One of those had 3. I think once he goes out to bidding, we'll know. The footprint of the gravel disturbed area is the same. So it's not, one's not bigger than the other, it's just 4 buildings versus 3. And that's going to be a future costing, I guess, on what it actually costs to build a building. It might be simpler to build, start off with a smaller strip, 1 strip, then build that, or he may start with 2. I'll let him expand on that. One thing I do want to note is I just got it yesterday, and I left it at your place setting. As we do with any application that adjoins the High Bridge Trail, I send that application to DCR. You have a letter which came in yesterday from DCR about this. They don't have an opposition to this. They did have a preference, and quote unquote, we support the use of native species for screening purposes, such as eastern red cedar or American holly. You do note in some of the special use permit conditions, specifically, just let me get on the right page. There is a condition about buffering. So if you're so inclined, you may want to include those species. And let me see.
Have the Ellington seen this letter?
Yes, I shared it with them this morning. Item 15 and 16 relates to buffering and vegetation. Item 15.
That's under the general.
Yeah, under general. Just want to point that out. You obviously want to have discussion with the applicant on this matter, but I did share that with him. VDOT looked at this. They don't have an issue with it. You see where they're actually allowing a right-in only on 460, and then coming out on the side road. Again, I've shared the conditions with the applicant. Most of these, the last time we had campgrounds, commercial facilities, we specified things such as any trash container shall be screened, exterior lighting shall be full cutoff fixtures. Additionally, I did include one other thing, which I also sent the applicant, in the zoning ordinance itself, under the use and design standards. Several uses, like many warehouses, require minimum development standards. So there are 9 items in the county code, and I put that as more of information behind the conditions, but I wanted everyone to know, and the public to know, these are the development guidelines, even if someone were to redevelop an existing site. Things such as minimum lot size is an acre, minimum front yard is 30 feet, no security fencing, security gate or obstruction to vehicle access is permitted in the front yard, talks about driveway widths, talks about door openings. It talks about prohibited things. Now, I might speak to this for the neighbors. No auctions by tenants, commercial wholesale, retail sales, or garage sales. No servicing, repair, or fabrication of boats, motor vehicles, trailers, lawnmowers, appliances, operational power tools, spray equipment, table saws, lathes, compressors, welding equipment, kilns, or other equipment similar equipment is prohibited. The establishment of a transfer and storage business is prohibited, and any storage of flammable, highly combustible, explosive, or hazardous material is also prohibited. These are in the code. So they're already in there. Anybody starting a business or having a business have to abide by this. And then there's also stuff about no, outdoor storage areas shall be used for storage of motor vehicles, trailers, recreational vehicles only. All outdoor storage shall be screened from adjoining properties by 10-foot landscaped area consisting of small evergreen trees or evergreen shrubs. Accommodations for a living manager shall be permitted. And it talks about lighting. We go a little further in the special use permit conditions to specify full cutoff fixtures. The reason we're doing that now is because of the High Bridge Trail and the Firefly Festivals and Night Sky Friendly. In a future time, we'll probably update this lighting section to specify full cutoff, but currently it says all lighting fixtures shall be designed, located, and arranged to not glare on adjoining streets or residential properties. So those are code items I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that are in the code, over and above anything in the special use permit conditions. There's some things a little stricter, like we've got in the special use permit, the cutoff fixture.
Right.
But most things are about the same. Any questions for me?
I've got a question.
Yeah.
The entrance on 460, which I think is going to be an entrance only.
Right in on, yeah.
Is it going to be a turn lane for that, or is it just
No.
It's just a right
a right turn?
turn into the
Yeah.
property.
Yeah, this is not anticipated to have transfer truck traffic. It's
Oh.
vehicular traffic, being a mini storage. Typically, you might see a U-Haul, but it's not.
Well, maybe an RV though.
Well, yeah, coming and going. But right in only, that shouldn't be a hard thing to navigate in. Like I said, Mr. Locker, Brian Locker, the Assistant Resident Engineer, I actually met the applicant on site,
Yep.
and they evaluated this, and they didn't deem a turn lane necessary. Didn't deem a taper.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see that, didn't deem that necessary.
I was going to touch on the same subject, and Andy knows as well as I do the problems we've had at 307. And from Jenkins coming down that hill, somebody turning right after going under the old railroad trestle. My thoughts is I would do an entrance and exit on Pisgah Road and not even put that there. It would be dangerous. Certainly.
Sure.
It does look like they, in the drawing, they did put a wide radius
They did have a big radius there.
for-
That's
to get into it quicker.
If you go back, I don't know if y'all have the plans from the previous special use for the campground. That's the way it was originally designed, to come off of Pisgah Church Road.
They're not off of
But a
460.
new engineer saw it totally different, and I was quite shocked myself to see how he came up with this. He says plenty of sight distance, so he was okay with it. But absolutely no one coming out of that entrance, because they didn't want them trying to cross over to hit that median and go back westbound.
Just my comment was that, in my personal opinion of what I've seen, it would be so much safer
Yeah.
off of Main Road coming in and out. And it gives them a choice of go up the hill and come around and go out, or come down and go out. You know what I'm talking about, just, I'm afraid somebody's gonna rear end somebody coming off that hill.
Maybe we can, go ahead, Mr. Love.
All I can echo is what Mr. Ellington said, is VDOT, after looking at this, wanted to segregate incoming traffic with outgoing traffic, to eliminate conflict points. It surprised me too as well.
Yeah.
But, I mean, VDOT's going to permit it a certain way or have a preference a certain way, no matter what we do. You can certainly do whatever you want to in your conditions, but when it comes down to, when I get a site plan, I'm going to have to send it to VDOT, and that's.
I agree, there was a site plan at 307.
Yes, sir.
Which was a disaster.
I don't disagree.
And was fixed and tried to fix and still has not been fixed to this day. And I can't see putting in something that's gonna be a problem for anyone. It took somebody dying to really get their attention at 307.
Now, as the board here, we could make a condition on the ingress and egress, but VDOT will have to go back and determine whether or not they approve it, because VDOT has the ultimate approval on access.
I'm curious to know why VDOT is not allowing exit traffic to turn right onto Pisgah Church. Did they give you a reason for that?
No, they let it turn right
Yeah.
there.
It looked like it was a required left turn on Pisgah Church to go, like, to exit to get back onto 460. If you look on the drawing, it just has
Yes,
a left turn only.
and that's what the VDOT letter says, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, why, am I missing something here?
You talking about when they exit the property,
Yeah,
take
onto
a left
Pis-
to come
onto
to
Pisgah
460
Church.
only?
Yeah. Yeah, why can't you turn?
I saw that. My guess is, being as he lives in the village,
No, I think, Mr. Gillum, I think there's a long-standing truck prohibition on Pisgah Church
For big trucks.
for big trucks, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm talking about his potential tenants.
I understand.
They can't turn right to go into the Village of Rice if they happen to live in the Village of Rice.
That-
90% of
That's
this
not
will
what,
be-
VDOT doesn't want to put traffic in the Village of Rice.
You know, we can sit here and say, that's not gonna happen because of the way it's laid out, but that could happen. And
I don't think that'll happen because the VDOT doesn't want more traffic in the Village of Rice.
Right.
So that's why they required that left out to 460 only. Somebody's got to go to Rice, they've got to go out, come back, and come in from the other side. That's the way,
Which may or may not happen, but again, the way it's laid out,
they had some similar truck movements on Thorpe Trucking when it was permitted. They can only go a certain way.
Yep.
They can't go through the Village of Rice. So that's consistent with what is,
But I guess these aren't trucks coming out of his.
it's still considered traffic though.
U-Hauls, anything.
I mean.
There's a
people
lower
come out of-
speed-
People come out of Dollar General every day and go both ways.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. In hindsight, they might have done something different there.
yeah.
I think there's a lower speed limit through
Yeah.
that village as well. So all that comes into some of this traffic engineering stuff. I'm not trying to defend it.
Mostly just curious.
Just
why-
trying to-
Why,
Yep, just trying to bring a little enlightenment on it.
I do have a question for Andy about the fencing, and I didn't see it on the drawing. Is the fencing going to be inside the screen, the trees and shrub screen, or outside of the?
Inside.
Inside.
Okay. So that will potentially address some of the concerns from the Vaughns. And will you take
We're
into?
not looking to disturb any natural growth that's
Yeah.
there right now.
So I'm looking at the aerial photo. It looks like there's a pretty good
It is.
row of trees around it. I guess they're deciduous trees, so if they lose their leaves, you're still going to see through them in the winter.
Let me do this, just from the board standpoint. Andy, since you're up here, typically we have the applicant come up and explain the project, and I think we're kind of questioning it before it's explained. Can you maybe bring us back to what your thoughts are, you know, on this project, you know, and is it going to be phased? And tell us a little bit about the project and setbacks and fencing that, and then that may help answer some of our questions first.
Yes, sir. It originally, like Mr. Love has said, we had looked at doing 4 buildings, two 10-foot 15-foot buildings on each side with two 20 by 230 by 270s in the middle. When I was talking to the contractor, he recommended, if at all possible, to go with 3 30 by 270 buildings for cost purposes. He says it's going to be much more cheaper for me, for whatever reason, in the long run, due to the paint and whatnot on the doors, which is the most costly, to do it that way. So that's why we came back with the second proposal. Again, when we get to that point of cost estimates, we'll run the numbers and see which one makes the most sense. Personally, I would like to go with the 3 buildings. To me, it makes more sense. But that drawing came from Maxie right off, from the beginning. And yes, my goal is to start with 1 building. Once that becomes almost 80% full, go to the next one, and then the third one. So therefore, the fencing and whatnot will not be complete until the very end of the project. That would be the end result. As far as lighting, we'd look to do, the lighting on side the buildings no pole lighting, everything to reduce lighting pollution as much as possible, low lighting, and also we'll have a very sophisticated security system in place as well, cameras.
Is the gate, is that the only access people are going to have coming in with a code or whatever to get in? Or can anybody, to drive in there?
Anybody to start with will be until we get to that
Right,
point.
but the plan is to have controlled gate.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask?
Yes, please. Any questions? Yes, go ahead.
Andy, I'd like to come back to what Lou was saying about the entrance, the ingress on 460. What are your thoughts on if VDOT would approve it, to Lou's point, having ingress and egress on Pisgah Church Road instead? And let me tell you why I want to come back to it. I myself did 3 passes. I mean, we all pass that site all the time. It's a very visible site. But I went by there 3 times on purpose to see what it would be like to slow down. If I'm on 460 going west to east, go underneath that High Bridge overpass and, pretend there's a turn in to your site. And frankly, it was a little bit scary because, the car's coming along behind. It's not a particularly visible place to slow down if somebody's coming up behind the car slowing down. And so my big concern about all of this, as to maybe echo some others, is the way to get in and out of the site. It's not the particular use of the site, it's the ingress and egress that concern me. And so I'm just wondering what your thoughts are if VDOT would say, yeah, that could work, to have both the ingress and egress in the same place on Pisgah Church Road and not have, to Lou's point, ingress off of 460 at all.
Well, number one, I think it would save me money,
Okay,
not having to do 2 entrances.
okay,
And like I said at the beginning, that's the way it was originally designed for the
Yeah.
campground, which I was really, really shocked that he offered to allow me to have it, so.
so if
My
VDOT's okay
answer-
with it, you're okay with
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
All right.
Safety's everything.
I have a related question, Andy. There's another storage facility on 460 back towards town on the eastbound lanes. And if I remember correctly, there's been a few accidents there. They have they basically don't have any deceleration lanes. I mean, you would know more than I would, being your role in the Rice Fire Department.
I mean, to me, that's a lot more dangerous. And I can count on one hand the amount of accidents that I know there. There are more accidents down in front of the entrance to the church in that straight stretch for whatever reason.
Oh, down bottom of the hill?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's a good point. That is very dangerous there, and we don't have a lot of accidents right there. More up at Green Bay Road, actually.
Right.
Well, what's that? Well, a couple of thoughts. Number one, and I'm not totally understanding everything, but in order for the special use permit to come to us, it had to go through VDOT first. So if we're looking at changing VDOT there, then this has to go back to VDOT before we can review it. So the only option we really have, if that's what we want to do, and a lot of it makes sense, we need to table this and address it back to VDOT. You know, Andy, that's not necessarily what you were thinking today, but there is a concern from all of us on the potential challenges with ingress. And the only thing we can do is take this back to VDOT and allow them to reconsider that, because I don't know that we're in favor of it the way it's set up right now, but I don't want to speak that way, but we can't put in the special use conditions to change the ingress and egress, because VDOT has to be ahead of that before it comes to us as a special use permit.
Correct, but I think, Mr. Chairman, we do have an alternative, which is if the commission's otherwise inclined to move this forward, recommend approval, we can put in the motion that, basically a proviso that VDOT does review and approve this alternative ingress and egress.
What, Yes and no, I think we have to table it and take it back to VDOT before we approve it. Yeah, that's just my understanding, the way the special use permit, it has to be approved, gone through VDOT, correct?
The county cannot tell a state agency
Yes,
vis-à-vis
Yeah.
VDOT how to
Yeah.
design a site.
yeah, we can't put that in there as a
But I
a
think-
condition.
But our recommendation
Yeah.
could be, among other
Yes.
things, conditional on VDOT
Yes.
approving
Yes.
that revised
Yeah.
ingress egress.
So are
But I would-
are you assuming that this would not be approved without VDOT's reconsidering the egress and ingress?
That's, I'm just asking that amongst the group.
Yeah, no,
here,
that's
yes.
why I'm asking too.
I want to be clear on your wording on that, because when you make a condition on an applicant, you have to give them an out, because if you say it's only going to be on Physical Church Road,
Yeah.
and VDOT turns it down, then is he in violation of special use
Yeah.
permit?
Right.
Yeah.
Then you don't, and so you can't, and the county cannot make a condition that goes against VDOT
Yeah.
traffic engineering.
We're making a recommendation,
I
number one.
understand, I
Yeah.
understand.
We're not making an approval.
Yeah.
We're just
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
a recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what
So
I'm
that's
saying.
number
And I
one.
just want to know how you
Number
want
two.
that wording as a condition.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying.
Do you want that as a condition, or do you want it as part of your motion?
Motion.
Okay, okay. I just want to, I just want to be clear with you.
Part of the motion.
I just want to be.
Yeah, no, it's not on the applicant.
Yeah.
It's part of the motion.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be cautious about it ending up as a condition of approval
No.
that then he couldn't meet.
No, it's higher
Yeah.
level. It says that the motion would be conditioned on VDOT's approval to
VDOT's approval
rework the
of-
ingress egress.
Changing the ingress egress. Yes, Lou?
Just for understanding, this site plan that I see was done by Max and Associates.
Yes.
To me, in business, the site plan needs to be changed or an option with it in and out on Pisgah Church Road, and then the highway department agreed to that, yes, we can do this, no, we can't.
Yeah.
Because right now, this has been presented to them, and they said,
Yeah.
yeah, this is fine.
Yeah.
Well, the way that, I just want you to know the way that happened. I got him, Mr. Ellington in touch with VDOT before he paid Maxey to design this site. They designed it based on this letter. I just want you to know that's how that happened.
Yeah.
Based
So,
on what letter?
from VDOT.
From Brian Lockyer.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's,
Stating that this was fine?
Yeah.
No.
Because they drove out there and looked at it?
They
or-
designed,
Yeah.
yeah,
VDOT designed and got with the engineer before this concept was developed.
yes.
I know the traffic issues that are out there. That's why we went to that step, and because this is a rezoning, the first hearing. The rezoning requires VDOT to evaluate traffic based on trips.
Yeah.
So for it to be rezoned, we came,
Yeah.
and his engineer developed this concept specifically based on that letter, and I'll be quite forward with you on that.
Yeah.
Now, I will go back between now and the board meeting, and we'll contact VDOT and see if, based on, if a motion goes forward
Right.
with a recommendation, I'm going to immediately get with
Yeah.
VDOT on that this week.
Yeah.
Just to let VDOT know that that's what this body prefers.
Yes.
And then let VDOT come back. And then that would require the engineer potentially to redesign the
Right.
concept. But Mr. Coleman did not design this and give it to VDOT.
Yeah, it went the other way.
It went the other way around.
Just want to make sure.
I just wanted you to know that they didn't come up with this
No.
without VDOT.
Yeah, VDOT said this is ingress and egress, and then Maxey designed it from there.
Lou, do you think you would make the 460 entrance safer if they move the 45-mile-an-hour zone
Nobody pay attention to it.
before Blue Gray and all that?
Nobody
Because I
pay
think
attention
I think they should have done that to begin with.
I agree. I even talked to the director in Lynchburg about doing that.
Yeah.
And they're not likely to do it for a single site like this, you know. If this was a total industrial area, that'd be one different consideration, but, yeah. And again, I'm not here arguing either way, but I know that how it works only because of projects. VDOT is first, then the engineer is second here on this. So that's how we have to decide how we word what we're going to do.
Yeah, I think we gotta be careful here, because we're trying to.
Tell
like,
VDOT what to
Tell
do.
VDOT what to do, or, yeah, it's kinda our job to say yes.
And we're putting
We're putting
the
him in a bind
applicant.
financially and
Yeah.
timeline. none of us like that interest. I agree. I think it's,
I will
but
say
that's
this,
not our,
I will say this for total
call.
clarity. This will not go to the board until April.
Yeah.
So that's gonna give us a lot of time.
That's
I'll
why-
work with the
that's
applicant and
why-
VDOT, see what we can come up with. Only thing I didn't want you to make a condition
yeah.
that,
don't think
that
you
he would
can do
violate.
that.
That's why,
Yeah. But
and
you-
again,
Your motion can have whatever you
Yeah.
want to in it.
yeah, from,
And I
the-
can take that motion to VDOT
Yeah.
and say the planning commission has recommended that VDOT look at this again.
yeah, that's,
For safety
we can
standard.
do that. Otherwise, we have to table it and let VDOT, let Rob talk to VDOT about it, so.
Table it, and that gives you
Yep.
30 more days,
Yep.
because we're not gonna talk about this until April.
Yeah.
And we'll have
Yeah.
another planning
Yeah.
commission meeting about this.
That's why, before we try to readjust everything, let's go back to VDOT. And again, I usually don't try to make a motion or anything as the chairman, but my opinion is we're better off tabling this, or just a thought to table it, and then find out if we have any success with VDOT reconsidering ingress egress. And then we can come back and look at it again. Because like you said, we have more time because it won't be even discussed till April.
And I would appreciate no matter what your motion is, whether it's to approve, recommend VDOT, look at it again, or table,
Yeah.
please make it part of the motion so that I can then show that to
Yes,
VDOT.
yeah,
That,
yeah.
the planning commission has asked for reconsideration of this
right,
interest.
Yeah,
I'm going to be the contrarian here and say that VDOT has already done their job on this. They're the experts on this. If they said it's acceptable, then who are we to decide that it's not? There are plenty of other businesses with no acceleration or deceleration lanes right on 460.
There have been some mistakes made.
yeah. And then the other thing
Well,
is,
but
some of those
again, I mean-
businesses don't have a Pisgah Road right next to it that is an alternative. I guess that's what we're looking at, is an alternative. Pisgah Road creates an alternative here.
Yeah.
And financially, it's better for you,
Yeah,
if you have one entrance and one exit. The way I look at it, less construction
yeah.
costs.
Again, as a board here, we have to decide what we're doing here, with the motion. A motion with a condition, or how are we doing this?
Just to clarify the timing here, so whether we table it, the next, do we have a planning commission in March anyway?
What-
Right now, I don't have any business.
Okay, we don't have a
This
reason
could
to
be
it,
the
but if
business.
this is.
This could be the
if
business.
This
This could be the
business, yeah.
It would
business
be
for
old,
March.
it'll come back as old business. if we
right.
table
This
it.
would
Okay,
qualify for
right,
us to have a
okay.
meeting, though.
And you said the next Board of Supervisors
Is not till
meeting is
April.
not till April.
So if we
No,
did,
Sorry?
The March Board of Supervisors is booked with 7 hearings.
Okay.
So I can't put this and make
Okay.
9 hearings
Right.
in one meeting. They'd be there.
In any event, this won't go until the
This is the
Board of
early- the
Supervisors
earliest
until
it can go
April.
is April.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, I got it. Thanks.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we table it for 30 days with pretense we go back and speak to the Highway Department to consider what we've discussed for the entrance and exit off Pisgah Road and bring it back in 30 days, and we will relook at it.
Second.
okay, we'll go around the room then. Mr. Page,
I agree.
Mr. Fuller. Mr. Okay. We want to make sure that,
I guess if VDOT would recommend, or accept the recommendation, that's
yeah.
fine. If they don't, I see no problem with proceeding
Yeah.
with the current
Current, yeah,
application. So I don't know how to phrase my vote.
I don't know that,
I guess that's what my question is. If VDOT says, no, we're not changing anything, are we all going to say no to?
That's,
no.
we don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
I
thing,
mean- So why are we going through this table
Well-
motion?
Well, let me go back to the applicant. And this is just a question. Were you were number one surprised when VDOT set this way it was, correct? Ingress egress?
Absolutely, because it's already in blueprint, it's already been drawn
Yeah.
off of Pisgah Church for the
Yeah.
campground.
Yeah,
And when he came up with that idea, it just totally blew me away.
yeah. The campground had no access at all from 460.
No,
Yeah.
sir.
Did you, I don't want to say argue, but did you discuss moving it Or back to the original drawings with the representative VDOT?
I had them with me when I
mean-
met with him to show him.
Did he offer any explanation on why you
Other than
can't
he
do
did not
that?
like that traffic on Pisgah Church, the radius turning in and out.
I mean, it's, what, 50 feet from 460 to your,
See, I don't understand that because he's talking, from an engineering, I mean, doing construction work, if he was talking about the angle and the radius, making the left there is the hardest anyway, and that's what he's doing.
I mean, with the original ones, we
should be
were to
going
the
right.
point, I had a letter from VDOT approving the drawings, and we were just, we had not applied for the actual permit. And that's when the pipeline got shut down and everything just kind of disintegrated back in, so. Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't have had to put the money into the new drawings that I did, honestly.
Yeah.
But I do what they requested, so.
I think what they probably looked at was that entrance to come into the phone service box.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Because that's exactly where it is.
They're in there every day.
Yeah.
Brad, I'll go back to what you said. Unfortunately, we can't do an either or, to my knowledge. You know, it'd be nice to say, if VDOT says no, we approve it, you know.
I will vote no and possibly submit another motion.
Okay, okay.
You make a substitute motion?
Is that appropriate?
It is appropriate, yes, it is appropriate.
possible.
Yeah,
Well, I was gonna make the motion that we approve the request as stated with a recommendation that VDOT reviews the ingress and egress.
prior to it going to the Board of Supervisors, correct?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that helps there because then we can kind of put that back to VDOT.
I think
Hey,
I can make that
Yeah,
happen.
we can, we want to make that happen,
It
okay,
is a recommendation
Okay.
to them that we would like it to be reconsidered.
okay,
Be on Pisgah Church Road.
Yes.
okay. So we have a second motion on the,
I'll second that.
okay, okay. Okay, we'll go around then, okay. Mr. Hogan,
Do you mind just stating the motion again, the substitute motion?
That I recommend approval of the applicant with a recommendation to VDOT that it be reconsidered ingress and egress off of Pisgah Church Road.
That's where I was going with
okay.
it.
And we have a second for that.
Before we get too far, is that with the potential conditions that were specified?
Yeah, we have to go back to
Does
all
that
the
include
potential
the-
conditions in there.
Yes.
Does that
Yeah,
include-
yeah, yes,
Yeah,
with
we
the
have to make sure,
recommendations from the
with the conditions.
DCR, yes.
Conditions shown, yes, okay.
Just want to make sure we covered all that.
Yes, no, you're exactly.
Complicated
Yep.
motion,
Okay.
I know.
Okay, so we have a motion by Brad. Do we have a second for that?
Yeah, I second it.
Hang on, all right, now we're getting ready to close, have we just, how are we, the foliage and the trees,
That's.
He just added that.
We
Yeah,
just-
Yeah,
we added-
okay,
yeah,
I
we've
didn't hear
added
it.
We added the
Good.
trees and the foliage in
all
there.
right.
And that's a buffer for view and
Yeah,
sound.
that's the word, I lost the word buffer.
One more little tidbit.
Yes, sir.
You made a comment about no auction on the property.
That's in code.
Yes.
And if you've got a tenant that disappears and you go through the procedure, can he auction off what's in that bin?
You can't auction it there, you can auction
can't
it
do it.
It
online,
has to
but
be
you
has
can't
to be
auction
done
it on site.
off-site or online.
Offsite.
Yeah. So you can't auction off a non-paying storage facility. You can't auction it there.
Yep.
You can auction the contents, but you can't bring an auction to the site, is what we're saying. That's the way it's set up now.
You can auction the contents of that bin.
Yeah, but you can't auction it on
You can't
site.
hold an auction
Can't
at
hold an auction.
a storage facility.
Yeah, that's it. It can't be an auction at a storage
Public auction.
facility.
A live public auction in person.
It either has to be,
That's in the code now.
yeah,
So the next one back toward Farmville,
They're not supposed to?
Yeah.
they do it.
Well, you let me know.
That's
I
the
can,
reason I was questioning.
Yeah, yeah.
And I want to make
yeah,
sure, but what
yeah.
we need
It's
to.
not, by code, they
I
can't
can
do it.
look at, I have to look at when that one was approved and whether it predated our current ordinance, which is about 10 years old. But I'll get with you on that. I have had to go to that other site and stop them from having a U-Haul facility, and I have done so. They're not supposed to, that one wasn't supposed to have any other type of business. It was in the conditions. But yeah.
Okay. So go back, we have a motion on the floor for approving the special use permit with the conditions as stated, along with the buffering of the trees on the backside there. And then we have a second for that, correct? Okay, now we'll go around the room. I want to make sure everybody knew what we had.
So that's, the first motion has been.
Yes,
Supersedes
supersedes,
by
yes,
this one.
yeah,
This one.
yeah,
Okay,
that's when I asked for,
That's one-
if, since we
one
have a
order,
second
just wanted to
motion,
be
yeah,
sure.
so we're back there, okay.
Okay.
We'll go this way then. Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Mr. Hogan,
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam,
Yes.
okay, Mr. Weiss,
Yes.
Mr. Peary,
Yes.
Mr. Fuller,
Yes. Mr.
Mr. Page,
Yes.
and Mr. Pringaman, yes. We are accepting the special use permit as shown here with the conditions we have, with a request to go to,
Staff to
get with VDOT prior so that we can see if they'll make a consideration to the ingress egress.
And I will coordinate an email with Mr. Locker, I'll carbon copy you, and I'll try to meet you all on site. That way I can in person give the considerations and concerns of this body to VDOT in person, if you're okay with that.
Sure.
All right. I think I can put the concerns across to them and we'll see where that lands.
Okay.
But we can do that before your public hearing in April. I've got capacity.
Thank you, sir.
So this will come back to the board at their April meeting.
Yes.
You'll give me a second, I'll tell you what date that is while I'm here.
Okay.
Bear with me. That's going to be April 8th in this same room.
And it will be a or it'll be.
Public hearings for
Public
both.
hearing for that, yes. Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much. And thank you.
Thanks, Ann.
You're welcome to stay for
Thank
the
you.
other
Thank y'all
interesting
very
stuff
much.
if you like.
Oh, yeah.
Surprised we're the only ones here.
We appreciate you coming and appreciate your input. We really do. Thank you.
Okay. So for number 7, review of supervisor actions, I have none.
Okay.
The meeting last week had inclement weather and was canceled, so all those hearings will now move to the March agenda. We're not putting this on a March agenda because we already had 7 hearings for that night. And we're still getting a lot of correspondence on the solar sites.
Okay. Any old business?
Old business, I do want to make you all aware, you see Ms. Sandlin's not here tonight. She resigned after the last planning commission meeting. We will recognize her at a future meeting. She could not be here tonight to be recognized for service. But as soon as she's available to do that, we'll get the same kind of presentation that we've done for the past members who have left. That will, I believe, Mr. Jones's district is the next one up to have a representative. The board, a couple years ago, had an initiative, well, whenever someone's term came up, that they would align so that the members, instead of being at large, would eventually become for each district, and then we'd have a board rep. So we're one away from having that happen. Don't want anybody to leave, please, nobody leave. I want to be clear on that. But, that had nothing to do with her just leaving. But, so we've almost done what they wanted to do. But I don't want y'all to leave, so please don't.
Okay.
Appreciate y'all. Under new business, I think any day now, I'll have the other solar sites. CEP has had 2 community meetings on small sites in the Green Bay, Maharon area. I think we'll probably have those. They're waiting on a VDOT review for access. One of them has to go through a private little neighborhood. So they're waiting to get with VDOT. VDOT's had, because of the storm and everything, Mr. Locker hadn't been able to get to these sites. So I expect theirs to come in the next 30 days. On the Wilkerson site, which is Strata, that site's about just shy of 2,000, about 1,800 acres. The landowner passed away, Mr. Lewis Wilkerson, so his wife is waiting for his wife to become legal owner of all of that. She signed paperwork intending to continue that lease on that property. So we'll have that. I think we'll have that also in the next 30 days. So we've got those on the horizon. Your next meetings, we have scheduled open houses. You've got a flyer in your packet. The first one is March 3rd at Moton Museum. This is an open house style, so it's not a formal meeting like this. We're not sitting up there. They're going to have concepts out there of the maps, chapters. We're going to have the representatives from Berkeley there, myself, county administrator, will be there. And then on the 4th, we'll have another one at Crawley Forum at Hampton-Sydney College.
Identical meetings, they're identical open houses.
Yes, yes, they are. They are identical open houses. They're not specific. We're just trying to have multiple open houses in different regions. Crawley is a site we've been able to utilize. Hampton-Sydney's been real good about that, and Moton is kind of close. So we figure we'll get some folks from different parts of the county to participate. These are the last step before we bring a draft to you all for a public hearing. There will be public hearings with the Planning Commission and Board before this is adopted. It's anticipated it could happen in May. May not happen till June, quite frankly. It depends on how much edits come out of the March, whether that can be ready to y'all in April. But it's anticipated it would come to y'all as a draft in April and then go to the board in May. And of course, the next scheduled meeting is March 18th. Right now, I don't have an application, but again, there's a chance that we'll get the CEP site. They have to apply in the next week in order for me to make advertising guidelines for that 18th meeting. And of course, somebody else could come up, but I haven't had anybody else contact me that wanted to file something.
Anything for the good of the board? I have one good thing. Go home, be safe.